Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. A few days ago, I stumbled upon this woman who is like quite possibly one of the most infuriating and confusing people I have ever encountered. And I've been doing this job for coming up 5 years now, so that's really saying a lot. Basically, she sits down, turns on the camera, and then just rants for a really long time about how we don't appreciate men enough anymore. And men have life so hard and women need to just shut up. And she uploads quite regularly, a few times a week. And this is most of her content. And I spent so long, I spent a few days just watching so many of her videos, and I spent so much time just looking at my computer, just because, what? I wrote a lot of notes about so many of these videos, and I will not be able to get into most of it in this video. I did, however, keep all of my notes and things on Google Docs with the links to the original videos. So if you're interested in reading literally all my thoughts about more videos, then that is available on my Patreon if you'd be interested in reading my thoughts, and I've got comments turned on if you want to discuss it. So that's patreon.com/savvycat. or the link in the description if you would be interested to see more stuff like that. So today we're gonna just be watching a few of her videos and having a bit of a chat about the absolute nonsense that comes out of her mouth. And while I have you here, I would love it if you hit subscribe. Over 50% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed, and I am trying to reach 500k by the end of the year. It means so much. As you know, recently I've been having to upload 3 times a week, and it is quite exhausting, and I would love to be able to put more work into videos and have higher quality, better planned videos than I'm presently able to do. So if you would love to help me in being able to do that, please do hit subscribe. Also leave a like and a comment. It genuinely helps so much. If you just interact with my videos, it's so helpful and I appreciate it so much, so thank you. With all of that being said, let's move into the chaos that is her channel. So this first video that we're gonna watch is titled Men Are Simple, and it was uploaded a while ago. It's from 11 months ago. It kind of blew up. It has 750k views. It's a lot. It's a lot. Let's get into it.
One of the main factors that differentiate men and women is what we stress about. One of the main things a man stresses about when he wakes up every morning is work. Women, if you're gonna tell me work is the first thing you stress about in the morning, then you're a man. You're masculine. You're worried about the wrong things, okay?
What? That is such a wild thing to say in 2025. We are in a cost of living crisis, right? Shit is expensive. Life is so expensive. And you're out here saying that women don't stress about work? My number one stress is work. The number one stress of almost everyone I know is work. Because, without work, you can't really do anything. I have bills to pay. I have to put food in my mouth. You need money in order to live. And the way we get money is through work. So without work, you're a bit fucked, Me personally, work is my number one stress by far. Oh my god, the amount of sleep I have lost over how stressed I am about work and income and scheduling and everything, it's ridiculous. When shit was hard last year, I was struggling so much, and my therapy revolved so much around just compulsive tendencies and work shit. And then it got a bit better for a few months. It's been a bit better recently. And I went into therapy and my anxiety is so much lower. My therapist is so what's going on? I'm you know what? I'm actually feeling pretty good. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. When you are stable at work, when you have stability, your stress levels go down. If everyone was like insured enough income to maintain a comfortable life, stress would be so low. If you do not have to stress about work, if that is not something you wake up and stress about, you're doing pretty good. You know, you're living in a comfortable situation. Don't speak on behalf of everyone else, because work is fucking stressful. I can't think of very many more things that are like as stressful as work is. So let's see what she has to say. What should I as a woman be stressing about? Because obviously I don't need to think about money. Only men need to do that.
Every morning a man wakes up. Every healthy man wakes up. Stresses about work. You gotta get it done, okay? Women, the roof over your head was created by a man, okay? The roads you're driving on, created by a man. Men are simple.
I don't think that's entirely true. The roof over your head, created by a man. Was it? Do you know every person who worked on the construction of the house you're in right now? Do you know everyone who's involved in the construction of the roads you're driving now? I don't think you do. I don't think you have any proof that that was all made by men. And if it was all made by men, that was by choice. Because women don't typically work in those fields because they are made to feel unsafe in those fields. It's not that women cannot build roads and build houses, it's that they are not allowed to. So like, what are you talking about? Also acting as though that's like the only thing that matters ever. The house and the roads were created by men. So what about everything else? What about my TV, the couch I'm sitting on, the clothes I'm wearing? Like, what is your point here? What is your point, Kira?
Women, what do we stress about? What do we stress about the most, okay? What do we stress about pretty much when we wake up and then when we go to bed? Men.
Speak for yourself, Gully. Like, my number one stress is not and has never been men. And I can speak on behalf of everyone I know that has never been any of their number one stresses either. I don't think I've ever in my entire life woken up and had my first thought be men. That's just not the way that it is. And I can't imagine that really being anyone's first thought when they wake up. Like, even when I was like in relationships with men or dating men or whatever, I'm not waking up and the first thing I'm doing is stressing about men. Are you kidding? That sounds exhausting. Why do you care that much? Why is that the first thing you think about when you wake up, is like stressing over men? They don't deserve that. On this topic of stress, I would like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Fume. Stress can lead a lot of people into a lot of bad habits. For me, it is overbrushing my teeth and cutting people off. When I'm stressed, those are two of the things that I typically do. For other people, it can be online shopping or oversharing online, or for some people, it is vaping. And if that last one resonates with you, then I would love to introduce you to Fume. Fume is a flavored air device that provides you with the motions of vaping, from oral fixation to fidgeting to the hands to mouth motions. But instead of filling your lungs with vapor, it fills your mouth with flavor. It fills that void of when you are reaching for a vape but have nothing to reach for. And with that, it distracts you from the urge with its similar motions and the distracting, delicious flavor that will fill your mouth instead of your lungs, allowing the experience to be similar but with no impact on your health. It is important to note that it does not help curb any nicotine addictions because it is completely drug-free and non-addictive, but it does aid in your transition away from those bad habits by giving you something that is similar and something to help tide you over during the transition of letting go of old habits. Breaking bad habits is extremely difficult, and doing it cold turkey is even harder. So Fume gives you a way to help you move away from those bad habits in a gradual and easier way by giving you an aid to make it easier. If you want to break your bad habit, then you can go to tryfume.com/queerkiwi or use the QR code up on the screen right now with the code queerkiwi to get your Fume topper completely free when you order your journey pack today. Thank you so much, Fume, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into the video.
The second thing a man stresses about every day is sex. Not women, sex in general.
This is so unnecessarily funny because it is straight up just implying that men, regardless of their sexuality, will fuck anyone and anything that moves. They're thinking about sex and only sex, not women, not who they'll have sex with, just sex in itself. The pleasure of sex, the feeling of sex. It doesn't matter what with, they just want sex. And that is the second stressor in their life. You're selling men so short. That's the thing, right? Is it so funny because she sits here and is like, I am for men, I'm advocating for men. But then you say shit like this, which just makes them look really bad. Like, it makes them look so bad. They don't care about the people they're having sex with. That's so unimportant. They just care about the physical act itself, which you're not far off, are you? You're not wrong. Based on like literally all the evidence we have and all of the things we see men commit, yeah, I mean, you're right. But you don't sound like you're on their side when you say it. You're kind of putting this like I'm meant to feel sorry for them about it. Like, I don't. If your second biggest stress in life is sex, then you are living a very privileged life. And if that's the second thing you are worried about in the morning and you like can't function without having sex before you start your day, go jack off in the shower and don't make it anyone else's problem. I also would like to argue on behalf of men here, since you are selling literally all of them so short, that a lot of men do appreciate the actual intimacy that comes with sex. Some men, you know, do actually appreciate partnerships and their partners and want to feel loved and accepted and do not require sex every single morning just to get through the day. So, you know, keep that in mind.
Just like how a woman needs to be loved and nurtured, right? We need to be like assured, we need to be loved, and that's all we need as a woman. Just tell us we're beautiful and we're fine. He just needs some. He just needs some, especially in the morning. A man needs sex to validate himself. It's not like he's lusting over everything. It's just his testosterone tells him he needs sex in order to get the job done.
Does kind of sound like you're saying he is out there lusting over everything and he can't get through the day without sexual release. So like, you're contradicting yourself a little bit here. Either he needs sex or he is okay. Like, he's fine. I promise that he's fine. Also, I'm just like, something that I find really interesting about this conversation and how she's wording it is very much like, women don't need sex, women don't care about sex, they just want to be told they're beautiful, and that's it. Men, however, do need sex and we need to give that to them. I'm questioning your view on sex and sexuality. Like, I don't mean to insert myself here and assume your sexuality or anything, because I don't really know, I don't know anything about you, but you're kind of talking about this as though women don't care about sex and women don't want sex, and that's not true. Like, I personally fit somewhere on the A spectrum, and it took me a long time to figure that out, but like, sex is not a priority for me. I don't really care about it very much. But a lot of women do. That is something that a lot of women do like and crave and desire. You just don't really sound like one of them. And so I don't think you can be speaking on behalf of what sex is to most people when you don't really care about it and think that it is just kind of something that you do rather than something that you participate in. I feel like you gotta do some self-reflection about yourself and your sexuality a little bit, because
we're more complicated than that. We have hidden agendas that we don't even understand, okay? Emotional intelligence is what we have.
Emotional intelligence is what we have. Men don't have emotional intelligence. Men are fucking stupid, alright? Give them sex and they'll be happy. They don't need anything else. They're fucking stupid. They don't understand anything else. They can't have intellectual conversations. They can't communicate their feelings. They can't do anything. All they do is work and fuck, and that's it. That's all they're good for. That's all they know how to do. You gotta dumb it down because they don't have any emotional intelligence. And you're on their side? Are you sure?
The second thing a woman stresses about is kids. That's different than sex. Sex and kids correlate, but they're different, right? It's like the sex comes from the man, and then the women brings the children.
Sex comes from men, and children come from women. Once again, I'm asking you to reflect on your sexuality a little bit, because sex does in fact require both parties. It should be enjoyed by both parties. So if it's not a task that you enjoy doing and it's something you do just because the person you are with tells you that you have to and it is required of you in order for them to get through the day, it's not a great relationship, and that's not what sex should be. Sex comes from both of you. Children also come from both of you. I think you need to have a little bit of a think about what conception is and how it happens, because I assure you it is not just him.
And in return, she has to take care of them, you know? Like, we both do. Men and women take care of children. But women have this different connection with children because we literally birthed them. That's why we stress about them. Because we birthed them. Our umbilical cord was connected to them.
This argument, I hate this argument so much because it is so selfish and like narcissistic in the sense that it's like you can only care about a child if it came from your body. Like, that is not where the connection comes from. Like, this is implying that like adopted children are loved less. In general, saying that fathers care about their children less than mothers do is so incorrect in so many cases. And saying that like adopted children aren't as loved and aren't as capable of being loved as biological children is also so untrue and such a horrible thing to be putting out there. There are a lot of people who give birth to children and then have no connection with them at all. There are a lot of people, like, it's not as much of a factor as you think that it is. Fuels your misogynistic argument about gender roles, sure. But that's not how love and connection works. If you are only feeling connected to a child that you have given birth to, that's not unconditional love. That's not as deep of a love and connection as you think that it is, because it's coming from a very like selfish place of being like, this came from me, so therefore I must love it. And like, sure, there might be a little bit of biology involved in that, but ultimately, like, it's not as big of a factor as you think that it is. And people can love children whether they have grown them in their bodies or not. So give men more credit here. I can't believe I have to keep saying that, but they are in fact able to love their children.
But guess what? That goes to my third stress for men. So the first stress for men was work. The second stress was sex. And the third one is kids. After a man stresses about his work, he got his sex in, you know, he got his stuff figured out. That's when he starts figuring out, oh, what does my child need?
So after you've stressed about work and sex, then you worry about kids. If you have kids, they are a third priority to sex. Fathers cannot look after their children until after they've had sex in the morning. And if they don't have sex in the morning, the kids are not their problem. They can't look after their kids. They can't think of their kids. All they can think of is work and sex. They have no room for anything else. They can't take care of their kids until they've had sex, obviously. Obviously. Do you not know this? Do you not know this? Like, it's impossible to even, like, think about your kids until you've gotten off in the morning. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's when a man thinks about his children, after he's already gotten everything out of the way, that he can, you know, put the roof over his children's head and he can, you know, have his testosterone figured out, because that's what a man needs. A man needs his testosterone leveled.
I think what this man needs is therapy, actually. Because not thinking about your kids until after you've had sex, bro, you need help.
The third thing a woman stresses about is her weight. Her weight. What she looks like. Okay? Because women, we take our beauty into the uppermost like echelon of value. We value our beauty, right? Because we age, and you know, when we're young, that's when we're the most beautiful, the most vulnerable, you know, that's where we feel the most valued, when we're young, right?
Yeah, good job. You're right. You're correct. Women do feel the most valued and beautiful when they are young. Because men are fucking creeps. Men are fucking weirdos who tell us that we have to maintain our youth in order to be beautiful and valued and loved. And if your like third biggest stress is that you have to keep looking young for your partner's a creep. And like beauty standards being like upheld by a loving partner as well, fucked up. Like, we put so much pressure on the way that we look. This is so true. This is a problem. It shouldn't be like that. This shouldn't be as big of a stress as it is. Should not be your third priority. It shouldn't be a priority at all. And I know that's big words because it is. It is a priority for most of us because we've been made to feel like it has to be for our entire lives, especially by men. And when that's upheld by our partners too, that's fucking exhausting.
In order to keep your man, you need to look good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't give up on yourself and expect your man to stay with you, you know? Like, even if you have kids, even if you did tie the knot, even if, you know, you've been together for 10 plus years, you still need to look good, not just for yourself, but for your man, because a man needs sex.
You can't expect your man to stay with you if you don't look good. What about him? What the fuck is he doing? Is he allowed to let himself go and age and look however he wants? Because it sounds like you're implying that he is. Whereas we have to put in all this time and effort and money in order to uphold a standard of beauty to someone who is supposed to love us despite that. Like, you're saying it's completely okay and fine and normal for a man to break up with you because you don't look youthful anymore? That's creepy as hell. That's so fucking weird. And he obviously didn't actually love you that much. Physical appearance is sure an important part of attraction, but it shouldn't be the core part of a relationship. If that is the thing that is holding you together, he doesn't respect you. He doesn't love you. He loves an idea of you, but he doesn't actually love you. You also seem like so obsessed with how much men want sex and making that into the like #1 priority of any relationship. And I would like to circle back once again to having you think about what sex means to you, because you are projecting this in a way where like sex is such a meaningless thing to you, and it's like not something you think anyone other than men like care about or desire at all. It's just kind of a task that you perform. And that is not the way you should be looking at sex, you know? Like, you don't have to experience sexual desire or even ever want to have sex, and you might be just having sex to satisfy a partner, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. I just think you need to understand that about yourself before you try projecting that onto everyone else. Also, talking about the beauty thing here, she like specifically mentions weight, and this is something that I like don't talk about that often. Like, it is, but I think I've never really put it into words, and it only took me until like recently to sort of figure it out for myself. Of like the desire with not only wanting women to look young but to also be like small is so creepy and weird, and not just in the way that, you know, that's wanting someone who looks like a child, but also like realizing that they just want you to be weak is terrifying. I did some like self-reflection on this recently because obviously, as I've disclosed here many times, I was in an abusive relationship for like several years when I was a teenager. And during that period of time was when I was struggling the most with my eating disorder, and I was like underweight. And my boyfriend at the time told me that he wouldn't love me if I gained weight, which is obviously so great to hear when you're in eating disorder recovery. And like realizing now, looking back at it and reflecting, that desire purely coming from a place of like, he wanted me docile, so I couldn't fight back. So I was easily like, you know, if you're not eating enough, your brain is foggy, you're easier to manipulate, you're easier to control, you're smaller, so it's easier to like cause you harm and overpower you. Like, there are so many layers to why like men want thin women, especially when they're shitty men. And these men who uphold these like really intense and strong beauty standards of like youthfulness and being petite are those men. So, you know, some food for thought there.
A man will never need you. A man will never need a woman. Just like a woman will never need a man. But the thing is, how contradicting it sounds, a man built the roof over my head, so technically a woman does need a man a little more than a man needs a woman. Just because of the fact, you know, we both need each other. You know, we really do.
Let me see if I got that right. A man does not need a woman, just like a woman does not need a man. But let's be honest, we both need each other. Do you know what you're saying? Do you genuinely have any concept of anything that is coming out of your mouth? Have you thought any of this through? Like, I just find it so funny when these people do sit down. Like, there's no editing that's happened here. Like, she just sits down and talks to a camera and then just uploads it. And I, like, cannot imagine having the confidence to be able to do that. Like, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. Like, this isn't even a live stream or anything either. Like, she's just sitting down and ranting and having the confidence to just upload the whole stream of nonsense that comes out of her mouth. Edit your videos, girl. Like, come on.
To know you have a good man in your life is to know that he is stressing about these 3 things in the correct order. Work, sex, kids. That is the correct order that a man stresses about.
I don't think it is. To know that you have a good man, you have to have a man who stresses about those 3 things in that order. If my man was stressing more about sex than about the children we have together, he is out the fucking door. Don't tolerate that shit. Oh my god, if sex is a priority over your kids, if that's what you think makes a real man and like a good man, you need to raise your standards. You've been lied to a ton. It's sometimes like I feel bad for these people. Like I feel bad for her because it feels like this is coming from a place of like, she's in a relationship. She has a boyfriend. And like, it kind of feels like this is something that she's been told over and over again. And maybe she's been hurt in the past and it's just easy for her to like accept what she's told than to fight against it. And so she shares that in order to like validate herself. And like, if that is the case, I do feel bad for her. I do feel empathy in that sense. And I think a lot of these women come from similar places of like, it's easier to just give in and get male validation than it is to fight against it. However, that doesn't excuse your actions. You know what I mean? Like, you can be hurt and have trauma and have struggles without continuing that cycle and passing it on to other people. Like, I can feel bad for you and feel empathy for your situation that you were potentially in, whilst also criticizing the things that you were doing and telling you that like you are not a good person for doing this. And I don't even know her story, so that might not even be the case. But like, girl, if your boyfriend is telling you that sex is more important than your children, he's not a good person. That is not the order of things you should be stressing about, like, at all.
I think there's girls out there that are really confused and they're blaming men for things and they're calling men dogs and, men are dogs. But you know what? A man will literally tell you that he is a dog because simple as that, he can actually be honest with himself.
There's so many women out there who are saying that men are dogs. And you know what? Men are dogs, but they'll admit it. This video is so funny because like, she's meant to be on men's side, right? This entire video was her defending men and like speaking on behalf of them. But like, most of it has just been shitting on men completely. Like, she's straight up here like, yeah, men are the fucking worst. They do fucking suck. But like, at least they're honest about it. She's giving the energy of like a man who's pretending to be a feminist in order to like hook up with women, but like the other way around. She is a woman pretending to like be a red pillar in order to like get on men's good side. You know what I mean? Those are 2 very different things, obviously. This one is putting her in danger and it is putting other women in danger because it is validating men's behavior. But like, her heart is not in this. It feels like she's lying to herself because she keeps kind of slipping up and saying things that are like actually very anti-man and somehow trying to make it come across as though she's on their side.
Be aware, be self-aware of what a man is actually bringing to you and what you see in him. Obviously, if there's a bad guy out there, you can just see it. Like, you can't hide away from bad people. Bad people are bad.
She made this take a few times and like a couple other videos as well that I am not including in this video because I do not have the time, but she has said in one of her other videos that like everyone should be in relationships. Relationships are like so important and like there's no such thing as a bad person for you because toxic people are only ever in relationships with toxic people. So if you're dating someone and they're toxic, that means you're toxic too, so therefore you are compatible. And obviously she's just kind of implied this now with being like, you know a bad person when you see a bad person, so you just avoid the bad people. Honey, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, and that's such a dangerous way of thinking about things. And like, I'm scared for you. I'm worried about you because that is not at all how this works. When it comes to like bad people, most of them are very, very good at pretending to be good people. Abusers' whole thing is that they manipulate you into abusive relationships by pretending they are good people. That is what gaslighting is. Most people don't just like choose to date a bad person. They choose to date a good person who over time shows their true colors as being a bad person but not until it's like too late, you know? I don't have the time to go into what makes an abusive relationship. I've talked about it many times and I will continue to talk about it, but that's not what this video is. I'm just a bit worried about you, and I need you to know that that's not how this works. You don't know a bad person just by seeing them, okay?
Men do not stress about the stuff we stress about. They don't. They don't care. They do not care. We're complicated for a reason, because men simply don't care about that stuff. So who else is going to care about it? We do.
Men don't care about anything. They have no emotional intelligence. They are dogs, but they're better than women are, apparently.
I'm targeting the women because we just need to reassure ourselves, okay? We need to reassure ourselves in how we feel around men. You know, why do we feel this way around this guy? Because you like him. Like, just freaking show it. Just show you like him. Don't question him and then make it this whole big ordeal when it's so simple. Because guess what? He probably likes you too, but he doesn't know how to go about it because he's not intuitive like a woman.
Once again, we just turn around and straight up just shit on men. I fucking so appreciate that about this video, purely because I don't think she realizes that she's doing it. So many times in this video, she said that men aren't emotionally intelligent. Like, they function purely off of like base level, like do task, have sex, that's it. And then now to sit here and being like, you as a woman have to make the move on a man because he probably likes you, but he's a fucking idiot and doesn't know what to do about it. Like, that's so funny, especially when you're someone who likes gender roles, because usually you're very pro like men making the first move, but here she's straight up just like, men don't know what the fuck is going on. So you have to tell them because they're fucking idiots. From this video, it feels like she hates men, and that's so fucking funny because I don't think that was the point. But this entire video is just very much like, yeah, men are kind of the worst.
Women, you need to understand what you need to do every morning. Because guess what? Every single day, men cater to us whether we are in a relationship or not. Men will still hold the door open for you. Men are amazing.
Implying that women don't cater for men every single day is fucking hilarious because all we ever do is cater for men. And then also though, putting having sex with your boyfriend every morning just because it's what he wants on the same level as like men open the door for you is wild. Those two things are not comparable at all. It's like men will hold the door open for you, so you have to fuck them every morning. No? And also women hold the door open for each other too. Like, comparing these things is fucking hilarious. This entire video is so funny because like genuinely it does kind of feel like everything she said was just men suck. Men are the worst. But that wasn't the point. The point was to say that men are amazing and we love men and women need to treat them better, and that is not at all how it came across. And that's so fucking funny. A few months after this video, she made a different video that is called Men Built the World for Selfish Women. This video is like really short. It is only 5 minutes long and it's her just sitting down, once again, turning on the camera and ranting without editing. And we have to watch it because I don't even really know how to put this video into words. So let's have a watch.
I just want to put something into perspective really quick, that when men built the worlds, we needed the world to be built. The world was nothing before men built it.
What? What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't know if you are aware of this, but women have been heavily involved in the process of everything for the entirety of human existence. Like, for one thing, women are kind of needed in order to, like, I don't know, create life. And also, not to burst your bubble here, but this is seemingly just talking about labor, and specifically like roads and houses and things. But women have always been involved in labor, even down to like hunting and like building, like everything. However, when archaeologists have gone and like dug up ancient bones and whatever the fuck, they were looking at it through a misogynistic lens, like through a modern day misogynistic lens of men do the work and women do the homekeeping kind of vibe. So when they found like men buried with hunting tools and tools of any sort, they're like, oh, this man was a carpenter, this man built things, this man was a good hunter, he was the leader of his tribe. And when they found women with tools, they were like, oh, this woman clearly married a married a very important man and was buried with his tools. Like, no, these women also did those tasks, but because they were men who found them and wanted to like uphold this patriarchy and these gender roles in a time where they were not alive to have any note of, they just forced their ideologies onto like old bones. You're going off of a basis of very little. So, you know, we have bias in all the research that we do and in everything that we found, and there is actually no proof at all that women were not involved in like all processes of like building and hunting, etc. In fact, there's more evidence to point to the fact that women were involved, and archaeologists are just biased.
It was a selfless act. It was a noble act for a man to build the world, to go to war, to protect his family, to protect his country, right? That was the man's aura. That was the man's job, to build the world. Back in the day, women actually respected the man for that. Women actually saw that the world needed to be built.
Women were also legally viewed as property. So, I don't know what you expected them to do. Men used to go to war. Men used to like build things because they needed to be built. Do you know why women weren't involved in that process for a really long time? Because they weren't allowed to be. Who decided that men had to do all the manual labor? Who decided that men were the ones who had to go to war? I'll give you a clue. It wasn't women.
But guess what? It's 2024. The world is built and women don't see anything that needs to be built anymore. Women are not respecting men because they don't see that there needs to be something built. Women need a reason to respect a man.
If all men were bringing to the table was building stuff, they don't deserve my respect. Like, I'm fucking sorry. But being like, there's nothing to be built anymore. It is 2024 and the world is built. So now women don't respect men. It's like, okay, but so what are they doing now? If everything is built and then they're not contributing anything to anyone anymore, why do they deserve my respect? I think that we owe everyone respect. Obviously, I think that respect is a part of, you know, humanity and like whatever. But like going off of this logic here of like you respect people who just do things for you, if men are no longer doing things, what have they done to earn my favor?
As women, we are bored. We are narcissistically bored, selfishly bored. There's nothing else to build, so we might as well build on top of ourselves, right? We might as well build on top of our own narcissism because men already created all of that. Men already created the foundation for a woman to even be narcissistic. Women are way more selfish than men. Men do things for others. Women do things for themselves.
Women aren't grateful to men for turning nothing into everything. You're giving men way too much credit. You're giving men way too much credit. Like, look around you. So much of what we have is created by women. Technically everything, considering, you know, women are needed to give birth to everyone, but we're not even going to get into that. Even if you want to like go for gender roles and ignore the fact that women have been involved with like all tasks throughout history, what about like the clothes that you're wearing? Who designed those? Who made those? What about the food that we're eating? What about the furniture that you're sitting on? And women have also contributed to like a lot of inventions as well, like Wi-Fi. The technology for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth was created by a woman. And if you want to hear more about that story, I actually made a video about her back like in 2020. So if you're interested in the story of Hedwig Kiesler / Hedy Lamarr, do check that out because I'm obsessed with her. Off topic, women also invented like washing machines to make everyone's lives easier. And women have been at the head of like so many technological advancements and so many inventions, but we're just not given credit because they are women. Like when it comes to like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, obviously, as I said, that was like the foundation of that was created by Hedwig Kiesler back in the 1940s. She didn't get really any credit. She didn't get any money or anything from it because they threw her idea aside because she was a woman and then years later went back and stole that invention to make it into what it is now. No one gets credit. No one gave women credit. Everyone just steals our ideas. If you got rid of all the contributions that women have made to the world, you'd be left with very, very little. And this comment of men do things for others, women do things for themselves is so funny. Like, that's hilarious. That's laughable, actually. Like, that is the biggest lie I have ever heard. Please show me where you pulled this from. That is not your ass. Women are historically more community driven. We historically, like, we help each other out more. Our connections are closer. We have closer bonds. We communicate better. We do things together and for one another. We are not as prideful as men. We will ask for help. We will help each other, where men will refuse it, because they have egos that are too big, and they think that asking for help and helping others will damage their ego. And like, men will help women out if they think they're gonna get something out of it, and especially if they think they'll get sex out of it. Like you said, sex is men's number 2 priority in the entire world. So, you know, we're gonna turn them down. And we don't really want much to do with them when they're offering us help sometimes, because you never know.
The only problem that's left in the world is that we are attacking certain groups of people every 20 years. Every 20 years, there's a group of people that is discriminated. And right now, it's men.
What are you talking about? How are you going about life like this? I love every 20 years we choose a new group of people to discriminate against. I want to know this cycle. I want to see what groups of people she has written down for when. I want to know when the cycle starts and when it ends. Is it exactly 20 years and then at the end of the 20 years we like suddenly this group is accepted and now we move on to another one? When did we start discriminating against men? When was the start of that? Who was before that? Are we only discriminating against one group of people at a time? Like, is this implying that, like, I'm assuming it's implying based on everyone else who has similar beliefs, homophobia, misogyny, transphobia, racism, none of that exists anymore. Like, it's in the past. Right now, the only people struggling at the hand of oppression, men. Discrimination against men, not real. That's not happening. You are living in some made-up fantasy world, but I promise you men are fine. They are not facing oppression, okay? Okay. And also, like, even on top of that, even hypothetically speaking, say we were only discriminating against one group of people at a time because we were incapable of, you know, multitasking. What about, like, climate change, poverty, that, you know, those are real issues, like deforestation, climate change, poverty, world hunger, cost of living crisis, you know, all of that. Does none of that exist? Like, those aren't real problems. The only problem in the world is how we treat men.
Now everyone is targeting men all around the world. This is a world problem. There's some countries that it's not much of a problem, but it's still there. The internet is everywhere and it's affecting every single country.
I cannot believe she's doubling down on this so hard. Like, this is the hill you want to try fucking die on? Like, even most people who are like right-wing, conservative, anti-women, pro-men or whatever are aware of the fact that, you know, this is very different in other parts of the world. Like, most of the time they use countries in the Middle East like Saudi Arabia, like Afghanistan, to be like, see, that's real misogyny. Oppression doesn't exist in the Western world because women can vote. If you want real misogyny, go look at those countries where, like, you know, women aren't allowed to speak. Not a good argument, because, you know, misogyny exists in different forms, and obviously that is much more extreme and that is an issue. Obviously, it doesn't mean that misogyny doesn't exist in, you know, the US, in the UK, in the West. But her sitting here and trying to tell me that hatred towards men is affecting every single country, including those ones, is insane. Like, what goggles are you wearing right now? It's like, it's such a way of like looking at the world, of like implying that like the only places that matter and that exist are like white countries. And also, what you see on the internet is not the same as governmental policies. Like, sure, maybe on fucking Twitter, there are a lot of people who are shouting hate about men. Does that have real world impacts? No. No, it does not. Blaming the internet for like oppression towards men in the entire world? Go touch some fucking grass, girl. Get outside. Get off the internet. She uploaded this video called The Modern Feminine Rage, where she sits down and she talks about feminine rage and how feminine rage comes from oppression, which, you know, is true. And I was like, hey, great, amazing. I'm glad we're recognizing that, you know, women are oppressed, because this entire time she's been sitting here saying that men are oppressed. But then the next thing out of her mouth was, but since women don't face oppression anymore, and suddenly I was like, okay, well, you know, this is kind of where I expected us to be. So let's let's have a look at what she has to say about feminine rage, shall we?
So this whole feminine rage movement going on right now, what are you looking to fix? What are you looking to do? Who's attacking you? Who's oppressing you?
How much time do you have? Because I could sit here, the list is very long. It is so ignorant to sit here and pretend that like women don't face any issues or any oppression. Like, you want to ask who's attacking us? What about, you know, the 1 in 3 women who are abused by a partner? The women who watch men who are less qualified than them get the promotion or the raise at work? The women who get talked over in meetings and have their ideas stolen by their male colleagues? The women who are forced to give birth to their abusers' babies? The women who are violently attacked and sometimes murdered just for rejecting a man? What about those women? Because though that happens daily. Like, that is happening constantly. Women are constant victims to the patriarchy. We are constantly oppressed. Whether legally or socially, we are facing oppression daily. And like, I know we can sit here and explain this over and over again, but these people will not listen to us. They just sit here and go la 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 whenever you try to explain the oppression that women face, because we can vote now. And we can, like, have jobs. So that means we're equal. You can't say anything else.
What are you angry about? Does it have something to do with you specifically? Because I've never heard of a man movement. I've never heard of a movement of men trying to change the world for men. It's all feminists. It's all women trying to change the world for women. But I don't see men being selfish and doing that for themselves. Like,
I wonder why. Girl, that's literally the point. You're literally proving the point here. Men don't have to fight for men because they already have everything. The world was built for them. The world is catered to them. We have spent our whole lives and like the past forever being oppressed by them. Women speak up for women's rights because we are fighting for what we don't have that men already do. Men don't have to do that because they already have all of it. And now there are men's rights movements, and what that means for them really is that they are trying to stop women from getting what they already have. It's not about men wanting to be equal, it is about men wanting to be better than women, whereas women are trying to just get equal footing. The reason feminism exists and meninism doesn't is literally because they don't need it. Like, you're answering your own question here. Just use your brain for a second and think about why there are no men's movements. They don't fucking need one. Yeah? Okay.
feminine rage is something really powerful in women men will never understand, because emotions give us power. Emotions give us that green light to take action as women.
And men don't have emotions, as we've already established. They don't have emotional intelligence. They don't have emotions. They just act on base instinct of work and sex. That's it.
Is your life that miserable? Are you dying of hunger? Do you not have a roof over your head? Are you bleeding to death? Why is this feminine rage so synthetic? It's not real.
Thinking those are the only things you have a right to be mad about is ridiculous. That's wild. Like, you are allowed to be mad about other things. The world doesn't have to be ending for you to be experiencing and expressing emotions. And also, like, if you want to be so for real, yes, that is happening. Like, see my previous examples just before. Like, women get less money, so therefore it is harder for them to, like, find a stable, good place to live without constant stress. And also, women are being attacked violently by men whom they trust and love. We are being quite literally stabbed in the back. That's part of what the feminist movement is. It's to earn equal money, and it is to stop being violently attacked by our partners and for just being women. So like, yes, that is happening.
I'm tired of hearing about how angry every woman is. That's not attractive. It's not attractive.
Good thing that we're not trying to be attractive then, isn't it? I don't know if you're aware of this, Kira, but not everything we do is because we want to be attractive. In fact, I think that being angry, especially at the patriarchal system, we are actually trying to do the opposite. Like, being attractive is the lowest thing on the list of priorities. Like, I am not sitting here wanting men to be attracted to me. That is not the intention of feminine rage. Our worlds do not revolve around how attractive we are to men. We are protesting against the fact that they try to make it that way. They want us to believe that we have to live our lives being attractive to men, and we don't fucking want that anymore. We don't like that we are expected to be attractive in everything that we do. That is not important. Feminine rage exists because we're sick of being objectified and sexualized by men. I promise you, no one is thinking about how attracted they are when they are angry and expressing their distaste for the patriarchy. We do not exist to be attractive. We do not exist to be beautiful to men. We do not exist to be the center of their world. And the fact that you are looking at this feminine rage and women who are getting mad and fed up with the way that we are treated and being like, it's not attractive, shows that we do still have so much work to do. You are continuously, throughout this entire videos, you have been continuously proving why there is still so much fight left. Because you are still centering a woman's worth based off of how attractive we are to men and what we owe to men. If your beliefs and the center of who you are revolve around what you are to men, that's sad. It's sad. And I really hope that you were able to work on that and work through that, because you deserve so much more than that. You deserve to be your own person. And like, yes, you deserve to find love and be in a relationship if that is what you want, but you deserve that with someone who like views you as an equal and who values you and who doesn't take advantage of you, as it seems you have allowed yourself in the past. Ultimately, I think Kira just sits down and says what she thinks is going to get her the most attention. I don't think she really cares about anything that she's saying. She just kind of lives and thrives for the validation. She interacts with the men in her comments that are like, thank you so much for speaking out for us. And she obviously like thrives and lives off of the positive affirmation and validation of shitty men. It is incredibly frustrating to sit here and watch it happen and watch her do this, because it does continuously validate the bad behavior of men and like allow them to continue doing this and mistreating women and thinking women owe them. And being like, well, see, but this woman agrees with me, so clearly I'm not a misogynist. Like, it's so frustrating. And like I said, I understand that like sometimes these women come from a place of trauma and it's just easier to exist in this state of like validating what's happened to them. But that's not an excuse for continuing the cycle. I hope that she does some reflection and she, you know, listens to other women's experiences and actually takes it on board and thinks about herself and the world around her, because she's obviously not doing that and just exists in a very selfish, small place that she will not expand on. I actually had like a few more videos scripted to talk about, but I've been here for almost 2 hours. So I got a little bit carried away. If you would like to see a part 2 of this and me talking about some more of her videos, because she has a lot, and as I said, I've written notes for like 5 more of her videos, please do leave a like. If I get 10k likes, I will do a part 2. And while you're down there, please do not forget to leave a comment and subscribe. As I said, I'm hoping to reach 500k by the end of the year, and I would so appreciate it. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Bobby, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Lady Nutbar, Ella, Queen Glimmer, River, Phenomenally, Jesse, Phil the Duck, Uh-Oh, It's Craig Lowe, Blaze, Blue Kitsune 24, MA Ping the Games, Joy, L James D, Prismatic, and Beckett. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat, click the link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early and without ads. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.